This is Anthony Richardson, and you're listening to RosterWatch.
This is AJ Brown, and you're listening to RosterWatch.
This is Josh Allen, and you're listening to RosterWatch.
RosterWatch Nation, what is up, and welcome back to the RosterWatch Pick'em Show here on the RosterWatch YouTube and X channel. Here we are again on another Thursday night. Last week, Thanksgiving. We're already a week post-Thanksgiving, and the Lions and the Packers played on Thanksgiving last week. They're back this week for a little mano-a-mano up there in Detroit, Motor City. Their second matchup in the last month between the Lions and the Packers. I got 3 picks for you tonight, but first, please go over to UnderdogFantasy.com. You can see the QR code on the right side of the screen. If you are tapped in, you get a 50% deposit bonus up to $1,000. You can win up to 1,000x your money over on Underdog Fantasy if you conjure up a slip big enough with aggressive enough takes and plays. You can win a ton of money over an Underdog. This year so far in the season, we are continuing a barrage of 60+% winning percentage on the season at RosterWatch. For the course of the last month, November was Movember. Mo money, less problems in November. 82%, 73%, 43%, 50%, 73% winning percentage week over week over week over week. Last week we did have a down week, but we're looking to bounce back this week with a massive, massive win. Again, on the season, we are 120 and 77, 61% on the season, 62, 62, and 60 for Alex, Trashman, and I. On the primetime picks, 57%. 4-1 last week, 2-2-1 the week before that, 4-2, 3-2 week over week. We're continuing to crush and continuing to do the damn thing. So we appreciate y'all for tapping in. Please click that like button. Please click subscribe. Click it. Please click subscribe if you are over here on YouTube. If you're on X, please click that heart button and or click that retweet button. We do appreciate you guys, as always, tapping in. Big shows coming at all times. We had the waiver wire show yesterday on Wednesday with Alex. Actually, it was Tuesday with Alex and I. Big show. Isaac Guerrero, the focal point, is obviously probably now owned in all of your leagues. We have him ranked pretty aggressively this week. I think Alex has him all the way up at running back 10 for the San Francisco 49ers, who host the Chicago Bears this week. You can go get all your rankings over there at rosterwatch.com. $9.99 for a month subscription over at rosterwatch.com. Go become a pro or a premium member today. DFS tools, NFL draft stuff's coming around the circle. We just got our Senior Bowl and Shrine Bowl credential access signed up. So we're getting dialed in. We're getting ready. There is no off season at rosterwatch.com. So make sure you go lock in over there. Kip, I see you in the chat. Kip, what's going on, brother? Appreciate you jumping in. A lot of people always jumping in for all of the shows here at rosterwatch.com. All right, here we go. The moment you've all been waiting for. The picks for Week 14, Thursday Night Football. Week 14 already here, the last week of most regular seasons. We got 3 players here. We got Amon-Ra St. Brown, we got Jaden Reed, and we got Tucker Kraft. Those are your 3 players for tonight's game. Again, Green Bay traveling to Detroit Motor City. First and foremost, let's start out with Tucker Kraft. Tucker Kraft's number tonight is 3.5 receptions on Underdog Fantasy. Last week, he had 6 against the Miami Dolphins, 2 against the Niners week before that. He had a goose egg against the Bears. He had 4 against Detroit and 3 against Jacksonville. We're going higher for Tucker Kraft, bouncing back, looking like he did earlier this season when he had back-to-back top 5 finishes in fantasy. Give me Tucker Kraft, 3.5 receptions, higher. Secondly, we're going to go to Amon-Ra St. Brown. Amon-Ra St. Brown is the go-to guy in Detroit. That's just what he is. He's continuing to dominate all areas of the game for the Motor City Kitties. The last 2 weeks, he's went under this number. We're going bounce back this week against Green Bay back on November 30th. He had 7 receptions. He had 6 the following week against Houston, 11 against Jacksonville, 6 against Indy, and 5 against the Bears. Look for Amon-Ra to get right here north of 6.5 receptions. I'm thinking closer to 9, 10 receptions for Amon-Ra tonight. Finally, Jaden Reed. Jaden Reed, we saw him on the podcast with Amon-Ra and with Equanimous St. Brown. I don't know what that was now. a month ago, maybe, when he said, just wait till I come to Detroit. Maybe that was actually earlier, like way earlier in the season. He said, just wait till I come to Detroit and put on that work. The last 3 weeks for Jaden Reed have not been great. 23, 26, and 24 receiving yards. Before that against Detroit, 113. That was at home in Green Bay, a big game against Detroit. Before that, Jacksonville, he had 55. Jaden Reed is the math to get Green Bay a win here. He did have a carry last week. If you're wanting to look for rushing yards for Jaden Reed, if you can go out there and get it, rushing yards, 1.5 rushing yards is available for Jaden Reed. 4.5 receptions is available for Jaden Reed. And if you can get a rush plus receiving somewhere around 65.5, 64.5, 66.5, I would take the rush plus receiving number for Jaden Reed. I think that's interesting as well because Jaden Reed, if you remember last year, he hasn't done it as much this year, but last year, a lot of opportunities in the running game, especially down there in the red zone to rack up those yards. If you're working on other platforms, you can get a Jaden Reed plus Amon-Ra St. Brown number. You can look around for that. Again, this is going to be a big game here. A lot of NFC North implications here with a 11-1 Detroit Lion team and a 9-3 Green Bay Packer team. The Packers, the NFC North is pretty maniacal. Detroit 11-1, Minnesota 10-2, Green Bay 9-3. If Green Bay drops this game, that doesn't really put them in a problem for the playoffs as far as the wild card goes. But if they win this game and Green Bay vaults up to 10-3, Minnesota's 10-2, and Detroit is 11-2, it puts them in a peculiar spot to where they split the season with the Detroit Lions and Green Bay all of a sudden down the stretch. It's looking up and up. Seattle Saints, they get the Vikings again at on the road, and then they get the Bears. The Packers could go on a stretch here if they were able to pull this game out against the Detroit Lions. Again, they lost to the Lions 24-14 back on November 3rd. Then they went into a bye week, and they've won 3 consecutive games out of the bye. 2 of them at home against the Niners and Dolphins, 1 on the road at the Bears. A 24-14 game back in Green Bay. Again, Josh Jacobs ran for 95 yards. We had Montgomery on the ground for 73. We had Jahmyr Gibbs on the ground for 65. In the air, Amon-Ra St. Brown, 7 for 56 and a touchdown. Jaden Reed, 5 for 113. The one thing I guess I will say, Alex continues to do this one every single week, so I'm just going to say it, is the Jahmyr Gibbs longest rushing attempt. 17.5 yards. Longest rush attempt from Jahmyr Gibbs. They refuse to put this thing any higher. It's been 16.5, 17.5, 18.5, 16.5, 17.5, 18.5 every single week. It's at 17.5 this week. You could go out there and sprinkle on it. The last game he played against the Packers, he had an 18-yard carry almost every week. Jahmyr Gibbs gets an explosive rush. So there it is. We appreciate y'all tapping in, tuning in. As John at Cedar Park, one of the OGs, says, only $9.99 a month. And he says Packers win outright. I feel like John at Cedar Park is a Packer fan. John, you're going down this week. I appreciate y'all tapping in, tuning in to RosterWatch.com. Do all the things. Click like, click subscribe. Go over to RosterWatch.com. Tap into all the free content as well as the pro and premium content. Win those fantasy championships. Tune back in tomorrow as we continue to get you ready for the weekend with a big Underdog full weekend show. And if you want to get the rest of the picks, the pro picks, go over to RosterWatch.com. We're hitting at a sick rate. Multiple weeks north of 70% winning on the season. Thank you guys. Appreciate you. And we'll see you tomorrow.
This is Anthony Richardson, and you're listening to Roster Watch.
This is AJ Brown, and you're listening to Roster Watch.
This is Josh Allen, and you're listening to Roster Watch.